So what can we do? This is the cool part. This is the part that I get really excited about. Like, these other things are so hard to share and so hard to walk through, partially because when I share, like, I'm in it because this is the thing that I live. But you know what? This is the thing that I live too. This is the really cool part, because it's what can we do? How can we help? How can we help ourselves? How can we support our friends who are in it? And the answer is there is hope. There is really crystal clear hope. Before we get all the way to the hope, we need to understand this. It doesn't have a magic cure. Depression and anxiety does not have a magic cure, and it can't be willed or wished away. For all of you who are like, oh, just power of will, put it in the background. For me, at least, doesn't work. For many that I know, doesn't work. I have a strong will. I am pretty good at wishing things as well. I'm pretty good at seeing the vision and making things happen. And it hasn't gone away. And for many people, it doesn't. That's because, understand this is a real thing. Like, this is the stories that are told in our head. Those aren't real. Those are reacting to lies that our brain tells us. But the struggle is real. Like, this is a chemical thing. It's outside of our control. It means we can have some control over it. We can exercise control over it. We can make choices that make it better. But this isn't just some fabrication. This isn't some hypochondria. This is a thing that we deal with like any other chronic illness, and it isn't just magically willed or wished away. Once we get that, we can say there are 3 big ways that we can help. We can think about different perspectives, we can think about different strategies, and we can think about clear hope. So what does that look like? There are perspectives that help. The first is outward and upward. Depression, in most cases, in my experience, is about inward and downward. It's about looking in at us and kind of going down that spiral of what's wrong and I don't have control and it's got me and it's capturing me and all that. But outward and upward is about others, and it's about the future and forward. I love to take a moment and anchor something in the future. What is one thing that I want that I can work towards? What is one thing that could be 3 days away that I'm excited about? Or what can I schedule that is a few days away that I'm excited about? That outward and upward viewpoint makes a huge difference. Also, see objective truth rather than the subjective lies that are stuck in our head. That seeing of objective truth isn't always easy, but take the things, write them down. When you are in an objective frame of mind, write them down and then go back to them. Take the people that you know that have an objective viewpoint of you and have them share with you what they see. Look at the things that you know to be true in others. And I coach a lot of other people. So in many cases, I can see those and I can share those and I share them with others. So I just have to look. And as one of my friends shares in her podcast, in her training, I need to recognize that I am my number one client. And so take my own advice. Use that objective truth rather than buying into the subjective lies. And along with that, and maybe this is the most important one, be kind to yourself. It is okay to have a rough day. It is okay to miss. It's okay to be not just imperfect, but almost incapable of doing something. It's okay to have a bad moment and a bad time. It doesn't mean that we should wallow in it. It doesn't mean we should take a victim mindset. It doesn't mean we shouldn't try and move forward. It doesn't mean we shouldn't look forward. But it does mean that we should be kind to ourselves and not hold ourselves to a standard that we wouldn't hold anyone else to. It means we should speak kindly to ourselves instead of awfully. It means we should, instead of blaming things or instead of feeling ashamed, we should instead feel proud to know that we are resilient and that we move forward. Be kind to yourself. Strategies matter. There are strategies that work. For me, the first one is I've trained myself to recognize the signs. I know that if I'm getting tired, I'm more at risk. I know that if I start losing some of the basic habits in my life, if I start having the desire to shower, yes, I still shower, but if I start losing the desire or the desire to brush my teeth or the small habits of my life, I know that if those start to go, like the gratitude practice and things like that, then I am already starting on that hill. And so I've trained myself of a sensitivity to say, what are my top 5 or 10 signs? And then I do this mental checklist a couple times a day to say, all right, am I good on those? All right, if I'm good on those, then I'm either not going down the hill or I'm not too far into it. If I see, hey, look, I'm missing 2 or 3 of those, then I call a little stop and say, don't want to go down the hill. How do I fix that? How do I change that? How do I move forward? Prevention is a whole lot easier than recovery, I can promise you. And that's one of the key things that I've learned. right along with that is sleep. I spent a lot of my years not sleeping enough, believing I was the sleep warrior. And what do you know? I struggled a lot more with depression and anxiety during that time. Now I sleep the right amount. And I say the right amount because you need to know what your body settles out at. You need to know if you give yourself space and you let your body really first recover and get in a good place, and then see how long it actually wants to be in bed, which is not 15 or 18 hours a day, that as our depression may tell us at times, but it is a certain amount. And make sure that you are there in that right sweet spot for you, because when it drifts either low or dramatically high, you're causing yourself to be in the high risk zone, or you're amplifying the issues. And that's what I find, at least. I speak for me, but I have found that consistently to be the case. Tied to that pretty closely is one that only in the last year or two have I paid attention to, and that is hydration. If I am dehydrated even somewhat, then my risk factors are much higher for anxiety and depressive attacks or incidents. And so I always ask myself, have I drank enough? And the answer is often no. This is one of my first ones that I have trouble with. So I just need to constantly be drinking more water. I've got my water bottle right here. And I make sure that I go through enough water a day. And it sounds like it probably sounds to many that I'm just sharing super basic stuff. Guys, it's the basic stuff that gets us into trouble. It's also the basic stuff, those habits that are the things that slip on the way. So it's a double danger, right? They're the things that make it worse, and they're the things to go away first. So make sure you get them right. I find breathing is important. I find that if I take these really deep diaphragmatic breaths where I fill my belly and then let it out slowly, so I'm in 5, out 5, that if I do just a few of those cleansing diaphragmatic breaths, that it will reset me in many ways, and it will help me to calm. And that calm is important because it releases the things that I feel closing in, like the stress, like the bands around my chest or the knots in my stomach, or the struggle, the stress in my shoulders. I also like to sit up and look all the way to the right. Oh man, that feels good. And all the way to the left and let my neck stretch a little right in the middle of those breaths, or even do that a couple of times. It feels wonderful. I'll add a newer one for me related to that, which is to do a stretching exercise every day. We talk about workouts, and I'll mention it in a moment, but a stretching exercise makes a difference. Just 15 minutes of stretching, it actually releases different chemicals throughout our body that help us to stay balanced. Now, along with that, the last 3 things that are strategies that I would call out, and there are dozens probably that I've learned and used over time. These are just a few that I hope will be of benefit to you, and that you can, if you don't struggle with this, you can maybe give as suggestions or support to your friends. If you do, that you can use and hopefully find some benefit from. Habits matter. Putting tent poles, putting these stakes in the ground, you say, I have habits that I do that I know make a difference. For me, some of you have heard me talk about this before. It's gratitude, growth, and exercise. These are the 3 things that when I'm doing them, they make a difference and they help. Gratitude is writing down 3 non-repetitive things in the morning that I'm grateful for, and writing them down every morning. Growth is doing the exact same thing, but I do it at night, and I write down how I either got better or what I learned or how I moved forward that day. And exercise is just 10 minutes, a bare minimum of 10 minutes of at least walking or some form of physical activity, because motion trumps emotion. And doing these 3 takes care of our mental, our emotional, and our physical health. But it gets our body moving in a different way that acts, for me at least, and for many others that I know, as a bulwark against and a recovery out of anxiety and depressive attacks. People matter most, and relationships are everything. I wish I could just brand that everywhere. Hopefully you don't see me with a tattoo of that on my head anytime soon. I'm probably going to get one somewhere, maybe not there, but I believe this to my core. And when dealing with depression, when dealing with anxiety, when dealing with all of these struggles, I can tell you that people matter most there as well. The people in my life are incredible. The support system that I have in my life of people who, because I've been willing to talk about this, because I've been willing to have the conversations, are there to support me and truly care. And I've gotten to a spot where when I do know what to ask for, or sometimes even when I don't, that I call them. I have a good friend of mine that we just met this year and we became pretty close. And about a week ago, I was just having a really hard moment and I felt myself going down the hill, and I just dialed his number and I said, look, man, I don't even know what I need to talk about, but I'm in a not good place. And do you have just a few minutes? And we talked for like 10 minutes. It wasn't a long time. And it wasn't about my struggles. It wasn't about what I was dealing with or what I was trying to prevent. It was just talking, but knowing that I needed to reach out in that exact moment, and dialing that number and having him answer meant the world to me. The one that we don't want to hear is that time is a strategy. I knew this last Sunday when I was there with tears of frustration in my eye, with shame in my head, with the stories going on, watching 80 movies and feeling just upset because I couldn't do even the basic things that were in front of me. Here's what I did know. I knew that in just a few hours, or at most a day, I'd be fine. I knew that because I've been through it. There's a story that gets told in the TV show The West Wing, which was my favorite TV series. I've watched it way too many times. There's a story that gets told, and it's an old story that comes from well before that, but that's where my memory of it is. And it talks about a guy that falls into a hole, and he's stuck way down in this deep hole. And a doctor goes by and the guy calls up and says, "Can you help me out?" And the doctor throws down a prescription, which is ridiculous, right? That's not going to work. And a priest goes by and he throws down a prayer, and that doesn't work. And a friend comes by and he says, "Can you help me?" And the friend jumps down in the hole, and the guy looks at him and he says, "What in the world were you doing? Why would you jump down here with me? Now we're both stuck." And the friend looks at him and says, "That's okay. I've been here before and I know the way out." Guys, that's why I'm sharing this with you. I share this the same with a lot of the business clients that I work with who are struggling in their business, who maybe even in some cases fight anxiety and depression about their business and upset because there's so many emotions that are parallel, that I've been here before and I know the way out. I have confidence, more than just a hope, but a belief and understanding, an experience that shows me that while when I was younger and the intensity was higher and I didn't have the strategies, things may have went on for weeks or even months, that now I know that the worst of attacks that I have are over in a day, and that most of them might be minutes or even just a couple of hours. They're just a moment in time, and time absolutely will pass and things absolutely will be better. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do this other stuff, but it's good to know that there is a real confidence that it will be better. There is real hope. There's serious, true, real hope. I just want you to hear that so much. I want you to feel that because you matter so much. Who you are in the world, what you are in the world, it matters. And awareness breeds improvement. If we take a moment and become aware of those around us, of our own selves, of how we work, of how things are happening, that what we're dealing with, we're not alone, that awareness alone will breed improvement. And familiarity helps. The more that we deal with things, the more we go through it, the more we engage with it, the more we understand it, that familiarity helps. There is real hope. I've been here before, and I'm here to help. And if I can help any of you in any way, whether it's in business and the struggles that you may have there, whether it's personal and you just need someone to talk to, message me and my team and I will connect with you and point you to the right resources. We'll support you in any way that we can. If it is about your business, I'm glad to have a conversation with you and see if I can help in that way also. But my sincere hope for those of you that struggle with this is that you really get it. That you really get that there is always light through the darkness. But most importantly, even before that, it's great to have hope. But the first thing that you should have is a knowledge that you matter, that you, as you exist now, with all the struggles and all the negatives and all the challenges, as you exist right in this moment, you matter. You have value. You don't have to prove anything to anyone because you are incredible. What you do in the world matters. Who you are in the world matters. Who you will become is unbelievable. Not what you have yet to accomplish, whether you have a week, a month, a year, 10 years, or 100 years ahead of you, is amazing. And there is always, always, always light through the darkness. I am living proof of that. I've been in some of the darkest places that I could imagine. I've been through some of the darkest situations that I can conjure in my head. And now I sit here in the light. And I sit here and look back and see all the things that I've been able to do and the people that I'm fortunate to know and those that I have a mission to help. And I know that without these tools, without this support, without this caring, without this confidence that there's always light through the darkness, that I wouldn't be able to fulfill any of that. And I know because I'm fulfilling the purpose that I'm meant for in the world today, that I am currently successful. And you know what else I know? I know that because you can fulfill the purpose you're meant for in the world each day, you are successful. So you don't just matter. You don't just exist. You don't just have value. You are successful right now. I truly hope that this is of help to you. And I hope if I can connect with you in any way and support you, that you'll reach out, grab onto the truth, grab onto the reality that no matter what you're dealing with, there's always light through the darkness. There's always hope. There's always a future. And know that you are loved, cared for, appreciated, and valued.